everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Chase with Jace. And the regular season is winding down here with the former LSU quarterback Marcus Randall. Marcus, always happy back.
Baby? What's up, man? Glad to be here, man, on this good Thanksgiving week. Out of school, man, feeling good. But this year comes, all the time. So, you got this Thanksgiving week, so, it's a big week. A lot of people out of school, but if those that still playing in the playoffs right now, high school going big, you got rivalry week coming up. A lot of big things going on down here where we are right now. The Bayou Classic is coming up this week, Southern and Grambling. It's just a big week for us down here.
Yeah, big week. I'm going to give a shout-out to, even though it was an LSU show, I'm going to give a shout-out to my Southeastern Lions. I called a lot of games for them, a lot for ESPN and ESPN Plus, and they just won the Southland Conference. So
big shout-out to them. Big shout-out, man.
So big shout-out to them as well. And then, obviously, on Friday, I called Episcopal's game. They're moving on. They're in the quarterfinals right now. And I know we have a playoff show that we do that we talked about a whole lot, and that's pretty much the mantra that we talk about a lot, is about if you're practicing on Thanksgiving week, that you're a pretty good football team.
You're a pretty good football team, man, and you stood the test right here, man. This is it, man. Everybody want to see if they can make it to the Thanksgiving week and practice when there's no school in. You get to practice early in the morning, come in. Sometimes those booster clubs will have that breakfast and all that waiting on them. But man, it's just a big bonding time, man. So shout out to all those teams that that's still in it in round 3 of the Louisiana High School State playoffs, man.
And myself and Andy, I know we took your spot for yesterday, but Andy and I broke down the brackets for this week, and there was a lot of exciting games from last week. A lot of close finishes, and we talked about the playoffs last week, and now it's crazy to think it's already the quarterfinals. I mean, it just seems like usually it takes a little bit of a slower time, but now we're already in the quarterfinals.
This thing rolling, man. It's rolling, and it's coming down to the nitty gritty, and you're talking playoffs.
Yeah.
LSU got a chance to look like, if we handle business, LSU, it look like we got a shot to be, close to being in that number.
Yeah. And it was a week last week that we talked about. We didn't really expect it. We probably expected all the top 4 or 5 teams kind of handling their business pretty easily, but it wasn't the case, because if you look at really even the number 1 team, Georgia. I mean, it wasn't 16-6. I mean, it wasn't like it was.
You're right.
Dominant.
And it looked close all the way up until the end. I mean, I feel like they had control, but it was like it was a game. It was a game all the way up, and like you say, it was a lot of teams that were that running into other teams that may not have the record per se, but those teams are finding out their identity and who they are now late in the season too. So maybe because they lost some games early on, don't mean that they're just a bad football team now late in the year. So that's when you can find some of these teams with the high records that playing against teams that look like they should easily beat, and it'd be a game, or they end up slipping up and losing one.
Well, negative is that these top teams, they have the target on their back. Everybody wants them too. So every team that they're going to play against is going to give them their best shot. And TCU, I mean, that game that they won this past Saturday, we were hoping for a favor from Dave Aranda.
Come on, man. Defensive coordinator. I know we talked about it last week. We talked about it. Maybe Baylor been able to sneak one in there, but good game. Again, great game. So that's what you're going to get. And if those teams are able to make it through those games, I mean, that's when you see the teams, when you say to win a championship, man, you don't blow everybody out. But you have those games that's in there that you win just because you grit it out, and those be on your, record to being able to be one of those teams to be champions.
Well, TCU kind of won that game like in a Les Miles type fashion. They rushed the field goal team late with clock was running down like 6, 5, 4, and like even the kicker didn't even have to do his steps. He just went back on the field and just kicked it.
Good enough. Let's go. But believe it or not, team practice that. I mean, man, you have sessions where you practice those situations where, okay, we don't have any timeouts. What play we gonna run offensively so we can hurry up, catch it, get down. Even if we can't get out of bounds, can we run the teams on? Because you saw it looked like they were kind of looked at it, and then they were like, maybe moving. So it was like 2 ships moving on there. They got set, they got the ball down, they got the kickoff, and that goes to coaching.
Yeah. Yeah, it does, and I think Coach Dykes even talked about it, that they practice that, like you mentioned, every Thursday. So that's the way that they handled that situation. And it helped them to win that football game. Right. Michigan, I know that they're looking ahead to Ohio State. Right. I mean, a pretty big game, and really they barely survived against Illinois. They had to kick a game-winning field goal at the end, and everybody's going to be talking about too their running back. Blake Corum got hurt, who's like their Heisman Trophy guy at Michigan. Right. And with Ohio State's running backs being banged up and Blake Corum being banged up, it's going to be interesting that both teams' running backs are some of the star players are. Correct. We don't know what their status is going to be.
Yeah, man, but it's going to be a good game no matter what, man. That's Michigan, Ohio State. They both coming in, with high hopes of being in the playoff right now. So it's going to be, man, that's going to be a big one.
Number 2 versus number 3. I mean, that's like a quarter. That's a playoff game.
That's a playoff game. Oh, it's definitely a playoff game. Yeah, it's definitely a playoff game. It's gonna be big in there, man. Shoot, man, I think that's gonna be big for the rival. I think you're gonna see all the stars come out for that game right there. All of the former players. And
that. Yep. And that's a lot of star power too. Looking at Michigan and Ohio State. Yeah, I don't think they like each other.
Nah, I know they don't. Man, I remember watching back when I was younger on Charles Woodson and who was that? David Boston.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, they used to go at it, man. Just right there on the field, man. Go at it, man. Yeah, but that makes rivalries, man. That makes that makes good football. That makes why it is that that you support your team for these kinds of events. It's going to be about the fans. It's going to be about a lot of other different things too, other than just the football game.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a lot of celebrities there, and I'm sure LeBron James is going to be there at the game. He's a big Ohio State fan, and all these celebrities will be there to watch that game. I'm definitely going to be watching the game on TV.
Yeah, going to be big
for sure. Now we do have to give a special thank you. We have to give a special thank you to South Carolina for what they did to Tennessee.
To Tennessee, huh?
That whole conversation, like if Tennessee won out and LSU won out, LSU probably would not get in over Tennessee because Tennessee has the head-to-head over LSU. So you don't have to be in that conversation because South Carolina took care of business.
Man, Rattler, man, he looked awesome. Man, he looked like, man, he was on fire, man. You just couldn't stop him, man. And you could see that from the beginning. I think they came out the first 5 drives with touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, they were going straight down on him, man.
I think all but 2 drives they scored touchdowns against Tennessee. And the first time was in the first half because the time ran out.
Right.
That was the reason I didn't score the first time. And then the second time they had a 3 and out. But besides that, I mean, they scored touchdowns on every drive.
Every touchdown. Spencer Rattler looked awesome out there. I mean, those receivers, they were making catches, they were adjusting the ball. And I think their coach had spoke about it that week before because they didn't play that well, South Carolina. And he just said sometimes you have some of those games and then you can come back and bounce back with, even better games. And shoot, man, they came back and played at a high level.
And the way they're playing right now, Clemson better watch out.
Man, they better watch out because I know they're going to take that momentum straight over. So, hats off to South Carolina, though, man. Eliminating Tennessee from that talk.
Yep, So for LSU that week, I'm watching all these games on TV. I'm watching TCU barely survive. I'm watching Michigan barely survive. And then, like, all these teams, Georgia struggling a little bit. It's like, what does LSU have? Is this kind of like what this weekend's going to be with Tennessee losing too? Like, LSU, I mean, they should just take care of business, right? And, because everybody remembers the last game before that, which was the Arkansas game and how LSU's offense struggled. So, okay, is this going to be, is that just an aberration, with that 13-10 win with the offense struggling, or we'll get to see, this offense pick it up again. And it turned out that it was an aberration last week, and the offense, it was definitely a good tune-up game for them, just for their confidence moving into Texas A&M.
Yeah, man, I love to see them come out in a game where, like you said, they could easily be looking ahead down the road, and I know that's what Brian Kelly has been preaching ever since we've beaten a lot of teams that we've beaten, especially after the Alabama game, man, not letting any of these games come up and where we overlooking these opponents, and we looking too far down the road. So man, he's doing that. He's doing a great job of having them focus coming in to say that the game it was a late game. We were highly favored. The weather wasn't the best, so it showed some mental toughness, showed some focus. It showed that these guys ready to go. They came back and bounced back offensively from the Arkansas week. Came back. I think Jaden Daniels threw almost for 300 yards right there, close to it, a touchdown. And then he ended up rushing for over 100 yards. So I mean, so he got right back on track, doing what he do, moving the sticks, getting the ball up and down the field, putting up 40-something points. Man, I think that the offense really bounced back this week and showed that they can handle business.
Yeah, they did. So the final score over UAB was 41-10. We'll talk a little bit about this football game because obviously that was a game that LSU was supposed to win, and they did. Took care of business. But they looked pretty sharp, knowing that was pretty much the question: how sharp would they be? Because with the upcoming games ahead, and LSU really did. I mean, we talk about it. Before the game, like I was talking to you before we taped the show today,
right?
But it was pretty eerie, when we were there. The stadium was half empty,
right?
It was cold. Everybody was bundled up in South Louisiana. It was raining. It was cold. It was muggy. Just terrible weather. But I mean LSU. Especially with the weather. I mean, that's what Brian Kelly is. The first thing he talked about with the media after the game was that he was proud of the team's mental toughness. I mean, that's the first thing he wanted to before even anybody asked any questions.
Yeah.
He went to the mic and said, "Look, I am super proud of this team with the mental toughness they showed, because especially when you add in the weather, when you add in that the stadium was half empty, when you add in that you have huge games coming up, these next two games, that they were sharp mentally, and they were focused and all in. And that shows that this team has really, it has really the quality of a championship team when, the games that don't get you hyped up, obviously, you're still focused on the task
I'm still going to come in. I'm coming in business like I'm coming in like a professional almost, man. I'm thinking about what I need to do. I'm not going to be thinking ahead. I'm not going to be playing down to the level of competition. I'm going to come in, do what I need to do, make the communications I need to make, execute the way I need to execute, and then after that, man, then we could look forward to moving on. But let's go ahead and handle this business, and like you say, they handling it with great maturity, discipline. They doing it, like I said, man. They doing it, and that's a proud LSU team to see out there playing, man, that way.
Yeah, they really played well. Now, in the from the start, we heard a bunch of injury updates that we didn't really get to hear really throughout the week, and so Saturday, we find now that Charles Turner, who's been the center for this football team through this great stretch, he was hurt, and Kelly said he's pretty banged up. So, Martinez came in and did a really good job filling in, Marlon Martinez. And then Dellinger came back too, so he's healthy now. But they still want Dellinger at guard, so he's playing some at guard.
Right.
But Turner is the starting center, so Martinez comes in and he plays pretty good for LSU on Saturday. Then you also add in with the running backs. Now, Josh Williams didn't play, but that was more of a precaution type of deal where he probably could have played, but knowing he had so many carries against Arkansas, let's just rest him for A&M. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of like that, a caution for the coaches. But he could have played if he needed to. I think Keishawn Butte could have played if he needed to. He was actually in warm-ups, but Brian Kelly said, I know he was kind of dealing with the flu. So Keishawn Butte was. So, Brian Kelly said, well, let's just rest you again. So there's an opportunity for other guys to step up, and they did. Look at the running backs. I mean, now 5 rushing touchdowns for LSU in that football game. Noah Kane had three rushing touchdowns. That was a guy we all talked about in the preseason, coming in from Penn State and was a big time recruit. And we've seen him here and there, but like to see him put on a performance like that, it was refreshing to see.
Yeah. So man, you could take these games right here, these games where you pretty much the overmatched team. so you can go in and rest guys where you need to rest them, and still have other guys come in and get the same production that you're looking for, while you can get other guys reps too. Get them some experience in game. So man, like you say, running backs getting in there, guys, because you're gonna still need this depth if you're gonna still continue to have to play these games all the way through the playoffs. So maybe you get more guys ready, and you're getting other guys rested up that can play a lot of snaps all year long.
And John Emery was the other running back too. We all know about Emery's talent, how talented he really is, and he's shown that talent this year. That Auburn touchdown run he had was pretty crazy. But he's been having some fumble issues, and he fumbled the football twice in that football game. So, it comes to show you that no matter how talented you are, issues like that, fumbles, they could prevent you from seeing the field even more.
Correct, man. You can't turn the ball over, because that could definitely be something that could hurt you down this stretch. That can, cost you ball games and make games closer than what they need to be, and things like that. So you got to be able to protect the football. I know that's something right now that shouldn't be as big of an issue right now, because we're talking about late in the season. They've been practicing ball handling drills all year long. I know they've been, doing those kind of things and been putting emphasis on it. So we definitely got to make sure that we're not, not being disciplined, holding on to that football.
And you can really see after the game the smile on Jaden Daniels' face. I think it was just like a relief. That whole week, Jaden Daniels, is he going back to his old ways? Is he struggling? That whole week was that whole conversation, and he's like, nope, don't worry about it. I'm gonna just go back to how I was in that 3-game stretch when I went off. So for the third time this year, he threw for over 200 yards. He ran for over 100 yards, and it was back to the old Jaden Daniels that we've seen, the good Jaden Daniels that we've seen this year.
Yep, and like I say, he's right back on track, and again, he's had a great stretch of games, and if that was the one Arkansas game for him to kind of take that step back, but then get right back on track on the things that you need to maybe you rather get it then, and then have it later on in the season right now. So man, I'm with it. He came in, he played at a high level again, executing, and just showed that he can manage and move the ball down the field like he's always been doing pretty much this whole season.
Brian Kelly said that you can make an argument. We saw all these great games, the Alabama game he had, the Ole Miss game, the Florida game he had in that 3-game stretch. But Kelly said you can probably make an argument, and I can't argue against the head coach, right. But you can make an argument that probably was his best performance that he did, which is how efficient he was, and just the decisions he made in that football game were all really good decisions.
Right.
And then in the passing game, Daniels threw some tight, contested passes in pretty bad weather, and we saw Malik Neighbors really make some catches. Yes. He's really been this year. Everybody talks about all these great receivers. Kayshawn and Brian and Jure and Kyron and tight ends Mason Taylor. All these guys, but really Mr. Consistency for this passing game has been Malik Neighbors this year. He seemed like he's been the guy that's been consistent, targeted every week for this offense.
Right, and to me, it don't seem like he's been jumping off the screen this season. I know how this thing started off, but like you said, just being consistent. I just haven't seen much of as much as I thought we would see of Butte. So I know it was a stretch in there where a game or two where it looked like Brian Thomas, he looked like he was becoming, one of those main guys.
Right, and Jure was kind of like the guy early in the year.
Jure was doing it. And he's still there. Yeah. But so it's been like different guys then stepped up, throughout the season. And I think Malik Neighbors was one of those guys we've been waiting on that, we talked about all preseason long, early on in this year, about him being, that guy. And he's showing it lately, and we had to say, he's still a second year guy there.
Yeah.
So he had to see it, and now he's had his chance to get in there and get the reps and get all of that underneath his belt. And now you're seeing him be able to be the dude who they already said that he would be.
So he had 7 catches for 129 yards in the football game. So a pretty good game from elite neighbors. And defensively, we're talking about the defense. It was a slow start early on for the defense because the special teams has actually they haven't been that bad like through the stretch at all, because we're talking about how bad the special teams was at the beginning of the year, but they've been about average in the last couple of games. But they gave up a big 66 yard return at the very beginning of the game. And then UAB, they scored a touchdown to tie the football game up at 7.
Right.
Okay, so
here we go.
Here we go again. And then they kick a field goal the next drive. They get the ball, but after that, LSU's defense completely shut them down.
Yep, man. And I don't think they gained what about 100 and something yards rushing, maybe.
Yeah, their running back was the leading rusher in the country. I think he averaged 150 yards rushing on the ground, and he's one of the top. Dwayne McBride for him. He's one of the top running backs in the country, and LSU only held it to 40 yards.
Close to that. I know he wasn't close to that on
40
Saturday.
yards or something.
Man, they kind of swallowed him down. Defense did their thing too as well. I think that the stats for one person don't jump off the screen because a lot of different people made a lot of different plays, and they was able to play other guys too on the defensive side of the football.
It was good to see Allie Gay. His parents came from out the country, came in and saw him play for the first time ever in Tiger Stadium.
Come on.
And he has a sack in the football game.
Right.
So you got to love it for guys like Allie Gay, that's been here. He's been through the downs here at LSU. It wasn't like he was here in 19 and, as far as starting role and everything. But he's been through, some of the high marks and some of the low marks.
Some of the low.
But he's been here thick and thin and has been really a good leader for the football team.
Yep, man. Him, BJ,
yep.
A lot of those guys that's out there that's playing on that D line, man. They're doing a great job up there, playing a lot of, Roy. A lot of those guys, man, getting in there, and they've been playing well. Like you said, they've been playing well throughout this whole stretch too. I know we've been talking about the offense, but the defense. Right. And, as a whole, they've been playing very, very well against these high-powered offenses and against these, these other big-time schools.
Yeah, it's a collective effort, like you mentioned. Nobody really sticks above somebody else in the stat sheet. I look at Joe Fouché had 4 tackles. Jay Ward in Baskerville, they had 3 tackles.
Right,
Kai Garner, Jarbin or Converse had 2 tackles. And then Greg Penn led the team in tackles. I think he had 8. And then Harold Perkins, he had 2 tackles for loss in the game, and both times the crowd went crazy when Harold Perkins made a play in the backfield.
Yeah, man, got to. He's making that pitch right now to be on that All-American status right now. So man, we gotta everything he do right now is going to be celebrated high, and he brings that kind of energy. I think they just gave him some kind of nickname, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it's was it
Tasmanian Devil? Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. Man, that's how he coming too. I like that.
I've heard Percules, like Perkins and Hercules together. Right. So they're trying to come up something. I guess if you're a baller on the defensive side of the football, you want to come up with a name. You got to have a name. Like Tyron Matthew, the Honey Badger. You got to have some kind of nickname. So that I think the nicknames right now are a work in progress, but we'll figure something out for Harold Perkins when we get there.
I like it.
But LSU just takes care of business. It wasn't like their I don't want to say their A+ performance, but probably their B performance.
Right.
To get the win by 30 points over UAB 41-10. You can go and check out the whole game recaps on Gridiron Football, and the headline put LSU's 5 rushing touchdowns blazes past UAB because they're the Blazers.
I like it, man. I like it.
So that was the game for LSU. Just go in, take care of business, especially when everybody else around you is struggling. Just focus on the task at hand. And they did. All the surrounding factors were not beneficial for LSU, but hey, they battled through it and they got the dub.
I like it, and like you said, and just like Brian Kelly said, man, that's hat off to those guys, man, going in and being focused and handling this thing first class out here, and I like it, baby. We moving on to rivalry week. Texas A&M on the clock.
That's right.
Right now.
That's right. We'll talk about Texas A&M, and I was actually at the press conference Monday, and then we were talking. Brian Kelly was talking about how Texas A&M is still a dangerous football team. You can't look at their record and say, oh, we're going to just go into College Station and just roll right through them and worry about Georgia after that. No, you have to. This is still a dangerous team. Keep in mind, like they had the number one recruiting class in the country.
Correct.
So talent-wise, I mean, you definitely don't want to be around this football team when they get it right. So,
correct.
And hopefully that's not the case.
Yeah, so I don't know what's actually been going on, like you say, because start of the season, they were, at the top of the chart talking, that they had all these big-time guys coming in. There was, being questioned about, buying the best team ever can have, different stuff like that. So, you definitely thought you were going to see a team that was competing for the SEC West and competing to go into the at least to go and play in the SEC championship game. But obviously that hasn't been the case. But like you said, they still got these guys on their team, and we still know that they, Coach Fisher can coach over there, and that he can, do it with the best of them. So we got to go in there, with our, game plan right, minds right, to go in there, and finish them off.
And just as good as anybody what kind of coach Jimbo Fisher is and what he can do. So as an offensive play caller and being around him, what do you think makes Jimbo so good?
I mean, he's seen it all. And he's seen it on different places, and he's had success in different places doing it. He been doing it in this league for a long time, even just as an offensive coordinator. So I know that he's going to be able to come out and put game plans together offensively that's going to challenge our defense. But hopefully, is what I'm thinking, that we're going to definitely be able to use Ali Gaze and the BJ Ojolari and the Harold Perkins to put the pressure on the quarterback, because I think they've been kind of having like a little merry-go-round right there in the quarterback position. Yep. So that's going to be big for us to rattle whoever that guy is back there, and keep some of those guys, some of their playmakers down. I think they're supposed to be bringing back maybe a couple guys that's been down too for them. So I mean, it's going to be a good game for them.
Yeah, you look at Texas A&M. I mean, last week they played UMass, which is actually one of the worst teams in the country. They only have one win last week, and really A&M struggled with them. I mean, they had like a 13-3 lead, and they scored late to make it 20-3.
Right.
But they fumbled in the red zone, and it was not pretty. I mean, they might have won the game, but I don't think anybody's hooping and hollering right now in College Station after that win. I mean, and it's crazy enough, they were like preseason number 6. I think Desmond Howard had to win the whole national championship and the number 1 recruiting class. And this year's just been a nightmare. They're not going to even make a bowl game this year. 4-7.
I know that's disheartening, man. That's disheartening for to have it go down like that. But again, I know that they got the guys over there now. I know that they can, we're going to be able to look at this thing, assess it. I know it ain't going to be this week. So, I mean, they're going to get it all to get together this week, but it's still a dangerous team, and you still got to go in there ready to handle your business, execute, because, I mean, you definitely don't want to give them any momentum or any hope that they can pull this game off. 'Cause like you say, they're not going to a bowl game. Yep. So this is one of their,
this is the bowl game.
Yeah, this is their game. So, they're going to come and give us their best punches. So we're going to definitely have to be ready for those things and have our game plan and focus ready to go.
I mean, it's going to be a bad season either way you look at it. But if A&M somehow pulls off the upset and pretty much finishes LSU's season this year, I mean, their thoughts of a national championship and all that, I mean, that's a good way to go out to cap off which has been a disheartening season in Texas A&M. And there's been some players talking about at A&M too, like we're going to try to ruin LSU season. Correct. And like all this stuff. Like if I'm Brian Kelly, I was like look what they're saying.
Right.
So just prove them wrong.
Right.
So that's pretty much what I would show them. But A&M, they're going to throw the kitchen sink at you right now. And LSU, you're one of those teams like we talked about last week. With all those teams barely finding a way to win the football game, they're going to be getting their best shot because all these teams that are in the college football playoff hunt, the other teams, they know that, and they don't want to ruin their opportunity for it.
Right. But I just think that any win right now, I don't care ugly, however we get it right now, just keep winning.
Yeah.
I just keep winning and keep moving on. Like you said, it's almost like a playoff field. So I mean, you just keep moving on, and that's what we need to do, just be able to do. I mean, no matter how we need to get out, it's gonna be on the road, so we got to be able to, grit it out. However we need to get. I don't care if it's by 1 or 101.
Yeah.
A win gonna be a win.
Yeah, well, UAB was almost like a preseason game for LSU, and then starting with A&M, it's like back to playoff mode. This week. I mean, it really is, especially when you're trying not only to win games, but also impress the committee doing that too, because they pretty much hold the key for you to get in the playoffs.
Correct.
So you gotta make sure that they look impressive. And speaking of the playoff, the college football playoff poll came out last night. And we looked at it, and a lot of people were thinking that USC was going to jump LSU because they have the one loss in conference, and with Tennessee being out. So that was really the whole conversation last night, who would be number 5 with Tennessee losing. And it turned out that LSU went up to number 5. So that gives you a little insight of what the committee is thinking right now. And that the biggest takeaway is, with them being number 5, if LSU does win out, they're in. They're in.
Yeah. And that's a good place to be, where you hold your own destiny. You don't really need anybody else at this point to lose anymore or nothing like that. You're waiting on anybody else. You go handle business, which I think it's been like that from the beginning. I know Tennessee was in the talks about it, but I just think, as long as we are handled and we can come out as SEC champions, we had to have a great chance to be in there. So.
Yeah, we had a whole conversation about the playoff rankings and where everything's going to fall, because obviously Ohio State, Michigan, that's almost a playoff game there. But I've also heard this being discussed, is that if Ohio State loses to Michigan, they have a better chance of getting in than if Michigan lost to Ohio State. So the reason why is they're saying, okay, if LSU loses to Georgia, they're out, and then TCU loses, and then Ohio State, it would be either Ohio State or Clemson. And Ohio State has the win over Notre Dame, and Clemson has the loss to Notre Dame. So Ohio State will get in. There's just so many different things that can happen.
Right, and you got a lot of teams that's in it. What it is, that's 5 to 4.
8.
I guess 4 to. Well, I guess you got to say 2, because whoever loses the Ohio State Michigan game, but that all the way about 8. I think all the way down to about.
Yeah, Clemson's at. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right. Pretty much, and they're saying there's this huge, a lot of things need to happen, but they're saying if all this stuff happens for Alabama, they somehow can get in. I don't know.
No.
I don't know how that's going to be the case. Clemson, even though they're below Alabama, has a way better chance of getting in the playoff than Alabama does.
Right.
But, if you look at it this way, if Ohio State beats Michigan, then Ohio State's in, obviously. And Georgia, I think Georgia's in. I think they're the only team right now you can surely say that they're in.
Correct.
Win or loss. Now, if the crazy thing happens and they lose to Georgia Tech for some reason, that would be crazy.
Yeah,
but if they handle business against Georgia Tech, I think win or loss against LSU, they're in. And then TCU, if TCU keeps on winning these next 2 games, they're in.
Right.
And the interesting part would be LSU. If LSU beats Georgia, they're in. So that's your 4 teams right there.
14. Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's if everybody that's at the top continues to win. Mm-hmm. So, man, that's going to be seen. That's to be seen. This is rivalry week. Mm-hmm. This is the week where a lot of people's hopes and dreams get shattered. Well, this week and the following, championship weeks.
Yeah, right.
So, these are the 2 weeks. You got rivalry week and championship week right here to try to go through and try to make it through.
Yeah, what better way to ruin an opponent's season than have your rival do it? So, South Carolina wants to do that to Clemson.
Correct.
And just, some, obviously Ohio State, Michigan, that's a huge game, but some of these other games as well. But Texas A&M wants to do that to LSU.
Yeah.
But LSU.
Jimbo, I know probably.
Jimbo, definitely, for sure.
Man,
yeah, he definitely wants LSU for sure, and especially Scott Woodward, who hired Jimbo at A&M and also hired Brian Kelly at LSU.
Dang,
so he's
boy playing chess out here. I like it.
Yeah, he is. He is definitely playing chess out there. But it's going to be a fun weekend. I'm excited about it. LSU in like the last couple of games, when you talk about this rivalry against Texas A&M, I mean, LSU's really had their number against them. There was that crazy 7 overtime game that A&M won. That was one win they had.
Man, I thought we won twice, 2 or 3 times that game already.
Yep.
Remember it though.
That was a crazy game. That definitely was. So throw the records out. I know A&M's been really bad this year, and LSU's been really good this year. But hey, it's the SEC, and like Brian Kelly says, you have to be ready week in and week out.
Yep. So man, I'm eager to see it. It's almost that time. It's gonna be a lot of good eating going on.
Oh yeah,
representing the shirt. I'm in the spirit right now. Hopefully everybody else is out there. That's hope you blessed around family football. Fun.
Oh yeah,
man. That's what this weekend and this week all about right here.
Oh, it's one of my favorite weekends of the year. I mean, Thursday you have Thanksgiving, you have NFL football on, some college football on Thursday too. Friday you got some college football on like early in the afternoon, and then high school quarterfinal action on Friday, and then rivalry week on Saturday. Huge games on Saturday, and then the NFL on Sunday to kind of cap it all off. But I'm excited about it. And then next week, myself and Marcus, hopefully we get all 3 of us, myself, Andy, and Marcus, talk about the semifinals.
Where we at?
Yep. So
where we at? Road to the dome.
Yep. Road to the dome. So hopefully y'all enjoyed the show. You can see my gear. I got some official, looking more official today with the Chase with Jace. I got the hat and got the shirt. Yeah, Don Sportsman for doing that. So I appreciate Don Sportsman for hooking me up with that. So the gear came in pretty nice. Yeah, it did. So a whole lot of content here. Gridiron Football, you can go to our website for a lot of our articles. There's going to be a lot of LSU A&M content from me, some high school football playoff action. Our Player of the Week show has just been uploaded here on our YouTube channel, and then probably about Friday morning, like we did last week for the Road to the Dome, we'll have a Road to the Dome show, be myself and Andy, and then early this week, actually like I think Saturday morning, because it's been a weird week with Thanksgiving, we'll have the Chase with Jace on, and myself and Marcus. Actually, after this, you'll get a commercial break. When we come back, it's actually going to be last week's talk, because I know we talked about LSU and Arkansas. Unfortunately, we couldn't be able to upload it in time, but you'll get a 2-for-1 here on this week's edition of Chase with Jace. So you'll get to hear.
Gotta love a 2-for-1.
That's right. You gotta hear our conversation after the UAB win, and then you'll get to see our conversation after the Arkansas win. And so hopefully we come in next week talking about LSU's victory over Texas A&M, and we get to talk about the SEC championship game after that.
Let's do it.
Well, for the former LSU single caller Marcus Randall, I am Chase With Jace. Hopefully all of y'all have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll check y'all back next week as we talk more about those LSU Fighting Tigers, as hopefully they get win number 10 of the regular season.
Yeah, it is.
And then they punch their ticket to Atlanta for the SEC championship game.
Good deal.
Hopefully y'all enjoyed the show. Thanks for watching the Chase with Jace, and we'll see y'all next week on next week's edition of the Chase with Jace.
up the bass. They love it when I turn up the bass. They love it when I turn up the bass.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Chase with Jace. And as always, I have the former LSU quarterback Marcus Randall at my side.
Baby?
How's it going, Marcus?
In here, man, going well. Feeling like a SEC West champ today.
That's right. SEC West champions. I couldn't even predict it before the season. I think I had LSU going 8-4, and Andy. We were really hitting Andy right now because I think he said like 3-9 or something like that for the season. I was like, you know what? Right. Next year I'm gonna predict LSU go 0-12, so we can get 12-0.
12-0, man. Yes, indeed, man. But no, man, been a great year. I know how this thing started off, and to see where we are today, man. I think it's a shock to a whole lot of people, even if they won't admit it. It's a shocker. But glad to be here. But again, I think we've said this last week. I don't see this as a fluke right now. I think that we're playing. This is who we are. And this is who I continue for us to be during this Brian Kelly era. And I think he started off. I don't know if any other coach have started off like this. And at LSU, I know Saban, came in and we went to the Peach Bowl that first year and we turned a lot of heads. But it wasn't like this.
Yeah, I think Les Miles his first year. I think they went to the SEC championship too in his first year. But a lot of it was different scenario.
Different, right?
Yeah, different, a way different situation.
You wasn't coming off of a 2-year span of losing seasons. You wasn't like that. You was already kind of built when Les Miles kind of came in there. It didn't have to kind of rebuild the program back up. But so this is obviously different. Nobody saw us coming right now, and I think that we like we've been doing since the Tennessee game. We've been really kind of controlling our own destiny.
Well, before we talk about the LSU Arkansas win the West, something happened. I'm trying to put my finger on it. About maybe about 20 years ago. I'm not sure. You might have been there.
About 20?
Yeah.
Well, that's a long time, man.
Well, let's take a look to see what happened
Jog
20
my memory
years
a little
ago.
bit. Okay. Back in Kentucky. Yeah. Yes, I was there.
I think you may have been there, Marcus.
Yeah, I was there, man. I was there for this one, man. It was a great day. Then it looked like it had went to a sad day, and then back to a joyful day. Right there, man. Look at that right there. Look,
there's number 12.
I don't know if you can see, man. It was a lot of fans right there behind me, ready to taunt me from right there from Kentucky until they saw that big reaction right there, and that pile down there, man, it's no better feeling right there.
I see number 36.
We all celebrating. As you can see, it was an early game that day, man. We rode the plane back home, and I can remember, landing back in here into Baton Rouge, and as soon as we got back to campus, everybody was still ready to party. It was everybody telling, going crazy about the play, man. It was it was big time out there, man.
And I can't imagine you just let that one go. And when did you realize something was going now you actually score? Because I don't know how you can possibly see Devery just go into the end zone. So
well, I actually never actually saw the catch. The last thing I could see is me aiming for Michael Clayton, like we always practice, and he jumping up, and I can kind of see. I could see something going on behind it, but I never can fathom him catching that ball right there on the backside because I couldn't see it. And then and as you just saw in the video, once I'm looking, I'm seeing him running. So I'm starting to picture something going on because the play not over. They haven't blown the whistle. And then our bench unloads to that end zone back there. our bench unloads to run into that end zone back there. And as you can see me running down there just to jump on the pile, and I was like, man, this was crazy, man. We actually won the game, and we were picked to win this game, and we were winning the whole game. And man, I was so glad of that one, man. You didn't about the speech you was gonna get from Saban after that. If you didn't come through with that one, and he still wasn't the happiest camper, because we was obviously shouldn't have never been in that situation. But man, to have that happen is almost like a dream, like. As a kid, when you're in your backyard and you throwing the ball up to one of your friends or something, 5, 4, 3, and you catch the game-winning touchdown, man. So it was no feeling like.
Oh yeah, it was the only thing I can compare this to, and I've seen the old clips of it, was the Cal Stanford play. With the Bambi on the field. Because Kentucky was about to rush the field.
Well, but they was already out there. Like you say, I was looking down on the other end, and they was already on the goalpost. They was already down on the goalpost. There are fans already on the sideline. And I don't even think we were ranked that high. I mean, we were ranked high, but I guess that was gonna be a big win for them. But they were darn sure rushed the field for a close loss, man.
And then I believe Jerry Winson, the late Jerry Winson, did the Gatorade bath. They were celebrating before all that. And,
come on,
man,
you gotta play for 60 minutes, man. You gotta play it. You gotta see it through, especially if you're in that predicament. Man. You can't celebrate too early. Man. You can't celebrate too early.
Well, not as dramatic as that, but the LSU Arkansas game. I mean, it was a pretty close one. So we can go back and just look some of the highlights here, and we'll see it. But just early on, I mean, this was a huge stop. This was early in the football game. This was after the Jane Daniels turnover, and the LSU defense on 4th and goal. I mean, Arkansas decided to go for it, and LSU's defense was on top of it and got a stop early on.
And it's actually is kind of the same recipe that we saw last week with the Bama game. Guys driving down there and defense stepping up and coming up big right there when their backs are up against the wall. And that just showed you, just the signs of great teams that can still play. Never giving up. Bend but don't break kind of attitude. And I know that says a lot to the coach.
And that was a field goal by Damian Ramos, who's been pretty consistent this year as a field goal kicker ever since the first game of the year. And you're going to be seeing a lot of number 40 in this highlight video.
Yes,
Harold Perkins.
Man, this guy, man. And we spoke about, some of these things last week. I obviously thought that we would beat them more convincingly than we did. But this Arkansas team came ready to play. I mean, they wasn't going to They wasn't just gonna come in here and lay down, and they played their tails off, man. But man, the play by number 40 this week right here, man. I've been waiting. I don't know if I've seen a performance like this one, man.
Probably the last defensive guy. What maybe Tyron?
I guess you could say Tyron Matthew is not doing it from a different position. I want to say Devin White. Having these, a lot of tackles running from side to sideline. But the way how Harold Perkins looked like. It's just like once he got his beam on you, he got you. Man, it ain't no getting away from him.
It's like you kind of compare it to like if you see some of these nature documentaries, like a tiger kind of like underneath the tall grasses and everything, and just seeing the gazelle and then finding the right moment and pouncing on the gazelle. That's like Harold Perkins when he's trying to bring down these quarterbacks as a spy, and as you see him right again, and you're going to see him another time. This was back-to-back plays.
Right. Back-to-back plays. I mean, he got him here, then you're going to see him going toward the outside line, catching him from the other side. And this may be it right here.
Yeah, that's
this is what I'm talking about. He's running him. And this is a guy that was a track guy. Yeah, this is a track guy that he's running down like this and doing this, look like at ease.
And he's tracing him down like it's nothing. It just shows you how much speed Perkins has. And then that was the only touchdown of the game for LSU. If there was one guy that really stepped up offensively, I have to say it was Josh Williams. I mean, running the football. Correct. I mean, he was running really strong for the Tigers and getting a lot of tough yardage.
Right. I think he did a great job. But the last couple of weeks, man, he's running the ball well. Which is obviously going to help us because we're definitely going to need some of the run game too as well. I think that the passing game kind of sputter a little bit. For whatever reason, it looked like we kind of went back to maybe holding the ball a little bit longer than it expected. Kind of some of the things we were doing early on in the year. But hopefully those guys and Jaden Daniel and his guys can get back on track this week with a UAB and we can see that exciting offense back out there.
And you just saw the last play with Harold Perkins. He started the game with a forced fumble and a fumble recovery for LSU, and he ended the game the same exact way. I was just thinking in my mind, like, Harold Perkins, number 4, he's going to find a way to close this football game as dominant as he was. And surely enough, at the last play of the game, he was able to step up and get that forced fumble.
Yes, indeed, man. And man, hats off to him and the whole defensive line. I mean, I think we just played well defensively across the board. And obviously he led the charge, but man, you got BJ, having great play overall, and you have Ali Gay. I saw making a couple. You saw
Savion Jones get a sack.
Savion Jones and man, Jaquaylin Roy
had his best game.
Man, he had one of his best games, and he's been doing this the last couple of weeks, and he's only with sophomore right now. Yeah. So man, you got guys up there, and these young guys, being able to go in there and do what they need to do, for us to be successful.
Well, game balls. I mean, really. The entire defense, because it's one thing you have, like Greg Penn had a great game too for LSU at linebacker. Mm-hmm. Micah Baskerville did, and really the defensive backs, the secondary, they really need a lot of credit too, because it really that forces quarterbacks to like second guess themselves and roll out the pocket. Correct. The pressure inside is forcing Hornsby to escape the pocket, and that allows position for Harold Perkins just to use his athleticism and trace these quarterbacks down. Man, so it's a teamwork.
High level, man. If he don't watch out, man, he got to be he's going to be up here ready for the well, he can't leave.
Yeah, right. He's a freshman. He's 18. He's 18 years old. You have some guys at Woodlawn that are exactly his age, which is insane.
Man, but hats off to him. These guys are, like I say, playing at a high level. And I was just wanting to be able to see him close the season out.
Yep, so defense gets a game ball. Obviously, Harold Perkins, I mean, he tied a school record in sacks, had 4. He should have had 5 and 3 forced fumbles, but they reversed it to an incomplete pass. Right. As he hit the quarterback's arm was going forward. But he should have had the school record. Dang. But that took away the school record. But it shows you how dominant he was. And then Josh Williams, because offensively, it was not a great game offensively for LSU. They really had problems. Like, we're talking about LSU's defense putting pressure on Arkansas, but Arkansas did the same thing.
Correct.
They really put a lot of pressure on Jaden Daniels, and really hats off to their defensive coordinator for really having an outstanding game plan for LSU's offense.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're going to see more of. I think no one could really, game plan for them because we hadn't really showed a whole bunch. Now that we've shown some things and we've shown that we, got wide receivers and Jaden Daniels will throw it and we're running. So, more teams will start mixing those coverages up now and be ready for it. But I think that we still got the guys. And when you got the guys, then you can, as long as you got the game plans going in and you getting it to those guys, man, they're still going to make plays.
Yeah, Josh Williams was probably one of the few bright spots offensively this past Saturday. They ran the ball, pretty nicely against Arkansas. It just wasn't a great day through the air. Jaden Daniels, he was, they just timed their blitzes up perfectly against Jaden Daniels, and he couldn't really make plays with his legs as he usually does. And it was a tough day for the offensive line and pass protection. He got sacked 7 times, and he had 8 completions. So it shows you how dominant Arkansas's defense was. But it was not pretty. But LSU, hey, sometimes when you're not having your best effort, you're not your A performance, and you still find a way to win the football game, that really shows the marks of a really good football team when you're winning games, even though you're not having your best stuff.
Yep, and those are some of the things that we've seen year in and year out. Even when we talk about the 2019 team, it was some games. And
the Auburn game wasn't that.
But you found a way to win them, and that's what makes great teams, and that's what makes. That's what let you know that that the coaching, that nobody kind of got rattled too much. Everybody stayed in the game, even though we wasn't having the most success offensively, and that's why the ultimate team game. Defense stepped up and they held it down for us.
That game really felt weird from the beginning because you turn on College Game Day and it's like snowing in Arkansas and the icicles coming off the goalposts and this you knew it was going to be more of a letdown game because you have the emotion of the Alabama game and all that. So just naturally,
now you got
it was going to be the elements play into it.
It was cold Saturday. It was cold out here Saturday, man. Yeah. So, but those are some of the things that around this time of the year it's going to get cold, and you got to be willing to play in it, and that's where your mental toughness come in too.
And it's more unbelievable that Harold Perkins, I even put it in the article, I'm not sure you saw it post-game or not, but the headline was Harold Perkins' monstrous flu game performance. He had the flu.
Right. I heard that. I heard that. They were kind of comparing it to Michael Jordan.
Even though Harold Perkins was like, who's MJ? And Brian Kelly was like, I'm getting old.
Yeah, man, I'm old. Yep. But, man, that's what they say, man. When you got it in you and you've been able to overcome those and you've been practicing and you've been, mentored and, talked to about being mental tough, and that was just a sign of showing being mentally tough, being able to play through the elements. It's already cold out there.
Yeah.
So, hey, coming in and having the game he's had, even with that, man, again, speaks volume for him.
Yeah, it was a busy Saturday for me because I had to post that article and then I had to wait until to really cheer for Alabama.
Alabama game.
That was very weird. That was very eerie. Just okay, I'm just so used to pulling against them, and then you have to watch and pull for them. It just
when you already beating them, it's a little easier to go ahead and pull. when you already beating them and you try to move forward, it's a little easier to pull for them.
And it turns out, Alabama, thank you, because the win by Alabama over Ole Miss clinched LSU the SEC West. So that's what was the situation heading into that Saturday. LSU had to beat Arkansas, and Alabama had to beat Ole Miss. That was a really likely scenario, and that's exactly what happened. Yep. And now LSU is going to Atlanta.
We'll be in Atlanta. I'm already looking at my traveling arrangements. I'm looking at getting ready to go, man. It's in the books for that one. But we still want to finish up strong here in the season, even though we got it clinched, man, because we still got other things that we could possibly be ready to play for.
This is a very important. Brian Kelly said it on Monday. You'll probably get the chance to hear this here, but Brian Kelly said Monday that this is a very important 2-game stretch for him because for a couple of different reasons. I mean, they can't be looking ahead to Georgia because you got 2 games coming up on your schedule you got to take care of, and it's also an opportunity to work a lot of things, tune a lot of things when you get to play the number 1 team, Georgia, that won the national championship last year, and this is an opportunity to do so. Now, UAB, I mean, both these 2 teams want to really give you everything that they can get, especially Texas A&M. Especially Texas A&M not making a bowl game. That is going to be that's their bowl game right there. So you're going to have to really prepare for that. Even though it's been a let's just call it like it was, a terrible season in Texas A&M.
I wonder what's going on. I mean, they had a lot of hype coming in. You know, that they were talking about the NIL deals and all the money that they were spending and all the top recruits coming in. And I was looking for them to take that big leap, almost like Tennessee did. And it just haven't happened this year.
They really have to be really kicking themselves right now because Harold Perkins was a Texas A&M commit and decommitted. And committed to LSU. Come on.
He made the best decision of his life. The best decision of his life, man. Coming down here a little bit more south.
But UAB is this Saturday. This is the last time I'm going to be going to a home game. Well, this is the last home game of the season for LSU. So last time that y'all get to see the Tigers, this year's version of the Tigers, play at home in Tiger Stadium. It's going to be a late kickoff. It's going to be 8 o'clock p.m. on Saturday. Really late kickoff. I guess it makes up for the Tennessee game, like at 11 o'clock.
Give a little more little rest, man.
Yep. But UAB, it's a weird game for LSU because you're not really used to having a lot of like non-conference, not games this late in the year.
Correct.
And you get to have one when you're in the stretch where you're playing Florida, Alabama, Ole Miss, Arkansas. Go down the line, and then you play UAB. I mean, it's just going to be like no offense to UAB, but it's going to be a natural letdown because it's not an SEC team.
Well, I don't want to say that. I know my freshman year, we played at UAB, and they ended up getting us, man.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They ended up getting us. I think we were looking at it kind of that same similar way, like, okay, this is one of the games where we, it's a little weaker in the schedule. And they came through and shocked us right there at the end, man. So we definitely want to go in and take care of business early if we can, and not even give them any hope.
Yeah, that's what we have to do, and hopefully Jaden Daniels, like we go back to seeing the Jaden Daniels through that 3-game run when we saw him against Florida and Alabama, Ole Miss, when he had that dominant 3-game stretch, and not the Jaden Daniels we saw this past Saturday or like early in the year, like the Auburn game too. So hopefully we get that offense back on track, and looking forward to Texas A&M to get some of that positive momentum going to Texas A&M game, because even though LSU won, they won the Golden Boot. You saw a lot of the video after the game. A lot of the players were actually upset after that game, even though they won the game.
Right.
It's just maybe no matter how they won it, they could have played better. But that's really shows sign of a really mature team that has a lot of expectations for themselves.
Yep. And again, I keep harping on it, but I think that go back to coaching. I think that the coaches are putting the expectations out there, and they're setting the bar, they're setting the standard, and these guys want to meet that standard, and they're not just worried about the W or the loss column. It's the way how they play. Did they meet their expectation? Did they do what they set out to do? And that's when you can see teams like that, man. You can see teams that want to get better, guys that want to get better, and you're going to ultimately just continue to see the team keep getting better.
And really, there should be a lot to. I mean, obviously, you got this whole stretch coming up, and you're in the thick of it. You're in the thick of a college football playoff berth. You're in the mix of it.
I ain't want to talk about it too early. I don't want to jinx nobody, but we got a lot to play for.
Yeah, and then also I was also going to go to, this is senior night for LSU. Okay. So this is going to be the last opportunity that a senior will get to play in Tiger Stadium on Saturday night. So that should motivate, especially a lot of the seniors, about like, hey, this is going to be the last time I set foot in Tiger Stadium. I want to go out with a great performance. Even though the season won't be over,
Correct.
But still, this will be the last time that you'll play in Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing, man. You know, a lot of families probably going to be in town for a lot of these guys. Some of these guys, it may be some of their family members' first time even seeing them come and play, since they've been in college or been to LSU. So I know a lot of people going to be in town for it. A lot of these guys, these senior guys, going to have their people there, and they want to definitely put their best foot forward. And I'm excited for them, man.
Yeah, it's a very exciting times, and I mean, it's just I'm still trying to process the season. I mean, the way it started, you lose to Florida State, you win ugly against Auburn, you get blown out by Tennessee. It's like, oh boy, this is going to be we're in for a put your seatbelt on, we're in for a rough year.
Right.
But actually, it's just incredible. Ever since the Tennessee loss, and whatever happened between Tennessee and they played Florida, the offense really got going.
Yep.
And then that light switch came on for LSU, and we saw a totally different LSU team down the stretch. I don't think I ever, especially an LSU team, I don't think I ever remember that sort of just light switch being turned on. Was there anything in comparison when you played at LSU in comparison to this?
Not like that. Like the year we won it in 2003, I think we we lost to Florida, but we was already pretty much rolling right there. We had kind of had that letdown right after that big Georgia Georgia game.
Right.
We kind of lost to Florida right there, but it was never like it is now, where we didn't know how we were going to finish, and then we ended up, having a great year. It's hard to do that. Especially when you start talking about how college football structure is set up. When you start talking about losing one game, better yet, 2 games, and then 3. When you start about trying to play on like a playoffs and national championships, it normally ends your deal for you. But again, with the stretch we've had and the team we've had, we are in control of our own destiny. I really almost want to put one of the pictures, one of them social media pictures where they say how it started and how it is now.
And I've been seeing a lot of those, because before the season, LSU was projected 5th.
How it started to winning. Now. I'm gonna find one of them old projections. I might put that up, man. Yeah.
Because I saw that. And it's a picture of Brian Kelly just giving a wink, like before the season.
You seen it already?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah,
I gotta find it. I
saw it.
I gotta share it. Yeah.
But Brian Kelly, he is highly considered for Coach of the Year this year for what he's been able to do in year one. They didn't even have 40 scholarship players when he came.
Somebody asked me that today, and when I was talking about LSU, they were like, "Well, is that Coach O's players though?" I said, "No, can't be Coach O's players. We ain't in the season with no
players, right.
So these are definitely his players.
Transfer portal. And look at the freshmen playing right now. These are freshmen for this class.
These are definitely his guys, his team. Can't give no credit to nobody else. This is his guys.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable turnaround. And that LSU Alabama game was special. A lot of people were talking about just greatest atmospheres they've been a part of. They threw out like the 97 LSU Florida game as a great atmosphere.
Yep.
You're a part of some really good ones.
Yep.
A lot of people go back to like the 2003 year with LSU and Georgia about how special that atmosphere was.
And it was a daytime game.
Yeah.
It was a daytime game, and that atmosphere was that high out there. Like I said, I'd have been in a few. My freshman year against Tennessee, and we won in overtime. Robert Raw catching the touchdown for Rohan Davey on that snake route, man. The crowd go crazy in there. Beating Mississippi State that year. It was big. But yeah, I'd been in that stadium where it had. It's electric in there, though. It's electric. Came in here, me to you. He came in here. Yeah, good deal, though.
Yeah, there have been a lot of great moments, and hopefully there's a lot more. As soon as y'all see this, it'll probably be Wednesday or later this week that y'all see the show. But the college football, at this point, the college football playoff ranking is going to be on Tuesday. We take this Tuesday, so it'll be Tuesday night. And right now, with the week in college football, not a lot of crazy stuff happened, especially in the top 5. But UCLA was a one-loss team, and they lost, and because everybody was pointing to USC and UCLA as a big college game day game, and UCLA loses, and then Oregon loses too. Because LSU and Oregon are right there.
They lose.
So
I thought TCA was. TCU. I thought TCU, man. They were. I was rooting for Texas, man. They were right there.
It was a low scoring game too.
It was right there.
Yeah,
it was right there, man. I definitely, was looking forward to jump up another notch right there. So
right now, Georgia won convincingly, and they clinched a spot in the SEC championship. So the little history, it's I think all but 2 times, and the other 2 were against Tennessee. But all but 2 times it's been LSU and Georgia when LSU goes to the SEC championship game. And we know them pretty good. Yeah, I think 4-1. I think we know them pretty good in there. Yep, against Georgia. Against Georgia. Yep. So they've lost 1 time to Georgia, but the last 2 times LSU was playing for a national championship. It came in 2011 and 2019, and both times they beat Georgia in the SEC championship. So I'm not saying anything, but it's going to be tough. I mean, that Georgia team is really good. But I can remember when you start talking about Georgia, I know that's who we beat. In 2003. Yep. But back in 2001, when we went to the SEC championship, we played against Tennessee. And they were rolling too. And Tennessee was kind of looking like Georgia was looking. There, you had all these big old guys. You had you had a lot of guys on that Tennessee team, and we was able to go in there and pretty much like they said back then, slay the giant. Yeah. So definitely, I'm looking forward to be able to do. Like I say, I think we always play good in domes. We play good in Atlanta. Yep. So. Hey, I'm looking forward to be a big game. Yeah, but till then, LSU, they just need to worry about taking care of business. Let's stop talking that far. Let's not handle our business this week, handle our business next week, end this season off on a high note, and then we'll be ready. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about anything about jinx and stuff because I think I jinxed Jaden this past Saturday. I don't want to speak on nothing. But business at hand. Yep, so take care of business, in the next couple of weeks. And then soon, because no matter what happens, I mean, LSU's already punched their ticket to Atlanta, but obviously you want to win, you want to beat UAB, you want to beat A&M, because if you beat those 2 teams, you go into the SEC championship game. If you beat Georgia, a lot at stake. You can pretty much call this. You can pretty much call this a quarterfinal playoff game, almost. Right. Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, even though if Georgia loses the game, they'll probably still be in, but still, ranking wise and all that, it hurts them. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a lot on the line for LSU. Right. So, how that work? If we play them in a I said I won't speak on no more, but I got to. we kind of have to at this point. If we play them in the SEC championship game, beat them, and they still make it, do we play them for the semi? I just don't think the committee will allow back-to-back matchups like that. I mean, you had to be 2 and 3. Yeah. I think they had to drop LSU. Well, LSU might sneak in at 4. Well, maybe at 4. Yeah, right, and then maybe be like 4 versus 1. Yeah, well, so 4 versus 1. Okay, maybe that. In this case, it'd be like LSU. I think they would make it like that. Like Ohio State or something, LSU and Ohio State or something like that. But right now, the playoff ranking comes up tonight, and LSU's at 7 from last week, and with Oregon losing, Oregon was at 6. Correct. So LSU could move up to 6. Got to move up. I mean, you would think they would move up to 6 because there's this conversation with LSU or USC at that 6th spot, but I think LSU's probably going to move up to 6. Maybe have USC at 7. And the top 5 ahead of you is going to be unchanged. It's going to be Tennessee, who's number 5, is going to be ahead of LSU. They got the head-to-head, 1 less loss, which was to Georgia. And then the top 4, TCU still undefeated. You're talking about that with Texas almost having a chance at them. And then we know about Ohio State and Michigan. I mean, the stars are colliding for them to play. Right. Talk about quarterfinal playoff game. That's a quarterfinal game. And the loser out of that one is out. Yeah. So if you do the math, let's say, we could kind of talk about it now, I guess. Like Ohio State and Michigan, one of them is going to be in the top 4. Correct. But I think the loser of this game has to be eliminated, just the way I see it. And then, but Big Ten champion, You have, I think Georgia's in win or loss in the SEC championship game, so that's 2. And then the trick question goes, okay, let's say if TCU goes undefeated, they're in.
I think they're in.
They're in. That's 3. If LSU beats Georgia,
open out there.
it's going to be a debate between LSU, the SEC champion, or Tennessee that didn't play in the SEC championship game, but has one less loss than LSU and defeated LSU pretty convincingly head-to-head. So that's probably what's going to be that conversation is. And who knows if you have a one-loss
Ohio State or Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan probably still be in the conversation.
You never know.
And ACC champion, like Clemson has one loss, or North Carolina wins the ACC with one loss, and USC, let's say USC wins the Pac-12, they're in the so it's good thing I'm not part of the committee.
Everybody fighting for them spots right now, man. It's gonna be something to see. But these next 2 weeks gonna tell the tale. With 3 actually.
And that's more important for LSU to really show up, because if you win, you convincingly win it. I mean, some style points.
These next 2.
Yeah, they have to look good beating UAB and beating Texas A&M.
Especially with the records they have and the way how they played this year.
Yep, and then if you beat, I think if you beat Georgia, you're the SEC champion. You beat Georgia, you beat Alabama, you beat Ole Miss. Those are probably going to be 3 top 10 teams. Mm-hmm. So, and with the losses coming against Tennessee, and you can say about the Florida State game, but that was the first game of the year, new team, new coach, and all of that. And then Florida State's probably going to be a top 25 team anyway.
Say they ain't just doing bad.
Yeah, right. They're a top 25 team.
Right.
So, I mean, LSU's got a pretty good resume. So we'll see what happens. But they have to win those games to be in the position
UAB
we
this
talk
week,
about.
they're on the clock, man. UAB.
What's what Brian Kelly says? 24-hour rule. Just focus on the next opponent, one game at a time, and that's what LSU has to be looking right now. So,
yep.
Well, Marcus, has been another edition of the Chase with Jace, and glad that you've been part with us all year long. We're going to keep this going too, and we're going to have fun. We're going to still have fun with it. I know I've been having fun with it.
Been having fun with it, man. Week by week, seeing out. I mean, you didn't ask me no predictions this week. I guess I lost last week.
Okay.
I ain't good. I ain't good for it. I ain't good.
Let's go with that. Do you have a prediction for this week?
42-10.
42-10. Okay, I like it.
42-10.
Okay, and then
we got to bounce back strong.
Yeah, I think they will. I think this is a tune-up game. This is a really good tune-up game for Jaden Daniels. I think the offense gets it going. Just get Jaden Daniels that confidence back. Like, go back to what you are doing in that 3-game stretch,
right.
And let's get that confidence back going. And really, the defense. I said at the beginning of the year, this defense is going to keep LSU in football games all year long, and they've really done so. So they're going to do that, and just if this offense gets right. I know it's been kind of a Jekyll and Hyde, kind of an inconsistent year offensively, but we saw the ceiling this offense can do, and like if that offense shows up, there's nobody going to be stopping them.
Right.
Yeah,
so we're going to be good.
And then also a shout out to the Woodlawn Panthers this year. I know that y'all lost in the first round to a really good Brother Martin football team. Mm-hmm. That's part of that like SEC West schedule too. I know y'all have had SEC West type of schedule, and so did Brother Martin because they played the Catholic League like every week. That's playing like John Curtis and the Car and Jesuit and Rummel and like St. Aug.
They got some tough things going on in there. And even when I looked at the bracket, and I know you and I going to do a big bracket thing coming up.
Right.
But even when I looked at the brackets, and I think Coach Sabar from STM said it best too earlier. Like you got weak. First playoff game matchups with teams that you wouldn't look to see these matchups till second, third. Fourth round.
At Woodlawn, Brother Martin was a legitimate quarterfinal, semifinal game in first round.
Correct. But so that's what it is. That's where it's gone to. I was kind of questioning the new playoff brackets, but I like it like that. I like it like that.
Good competition.
I mean, if you make it in and it's time to play, man, you are one of those teams that deserve to be in there. The way how they did the teams, making more teams in certain divisions, even if you in certain classifications.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think they did a great job of making it more of a challenge to get to each round. Now, back in the before this year, it was kind of like you almost could see who was going to be in the semifinal.
Yeah.
Or you can almost see who's going to be,
right.
Deep in the playoffs already.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now that's with this new structure, it got more good games from the start of the playoffs all the way through.
I'm sure we're going to have this conversation tomorrow when we do the show, but when I was talking to Dad about this, like when he was at Blackman as assistant coach, it's like the public and the private. Like the private, like the state champion would have to win. Maybe if you have a bye, maybe like two games.
Two games. Championship.
Public, you probably have to win five or six just to get to the state championship game. So I love how the LHSA balanced it out, where it's like much more even with that.
Yep.
So, but we're going to talk a whole lot about that tomorrow when we talk about the Road to the Dome show. But Marcus, always a pleasure to have you on. Talk some LSU Tiger football.
Yes, indeed.
We talked about Arkansas. We talked about the road ahead to Atlanta, which LSU have clinched the SEC championship game. And we went back to talk about some play that happened about 20 years ago, right?
Yep. Hey, man, they say if you don't know where you've been, how you know where you're going?
Exactly. Good point.
Yes, indeed.
Well, for Marcus, I'm Jace. Hope you enjoyed this show, this edition of the Chase with Jace. And at the end of the show, you'll be seeing some quotes from players and Coach Kelly as well at the end of the show. And then we'll catch you next week when myself and Marcus gets to talk about recapping, hopefully an LSU win over UAB. And then talking about a big matchup between LSU and Marcus's former offensive coordinator, Jimbo Fisher, and the Texas A&M Aggies. So
A&M.
we'll get to talk about them next week. Hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we'll see y'all.